African Champions League final. That was against Entente Setif of Algeria against AS Vita Club from Democratic Republic of Congo. And Setif won 3-3 on aggregate. Enjoy the game?
Of course. Well, another two-legger. It was 2-2 after the first leg, and then they won it 1-1 at home.
I don't really see myself as a scouting network, but after watching the highlights of these games, and you can get hold of them on YouTube, look out for Lema Mbidi. He's only 21, and in the first leg, absolutely smashed in a beauty, 35 yards out. Sent you the link, and we'll put that on Twitter shortly. But it was an absolute stunner. Shades of Yeboah, Tony Yeboah. No?
I mean, no contact with the crossbar, which is a shame.
True, he always wanted it in off the crossbar if possible.
Yeah, but in terms of the raw power, there's definitely similarities there.
Although I think I've probably only mentioned Tony Yeboah because I want to crowbar in a little fact that me and Paul came across recently. Tony Yeboah, knocking around in his home country of Ghana, owns some hotels. Yeah. I mean, there's no real reaction to that, but it's just nice to know.
It's just a thing to know, isn't it? It's a thing that will come up in your life.
And if ever I'm in Ghana, I know where I'll be staying.
But my favourite bit about it is there's loads of, like, hundreds of Leeds fans every year make this big, long pilgrimage to go and see him, go and see the hotel. What's it looking like? Nice infrastructure, lovely. Don't get a discount. It's like he pretty much says or something, well, I'm trying to run it. No, I respect the Leeds fans, love them to bits, but, I'm trying to run a business. So don't mess about. But this is a huge triumph for Algerian football, isn't it? Because they were fantastic in the World Cup, bossing it domestically as well in terms of this Champions League final. What do we put that down to? Well,
in terms of sort of going to Entente Setif themselves, I mean, this is their first Champions League title for 26 years, I think. It's the first time an Algerian team's won it since 1990. And they've been on a brilliant run. They beat TP Mazembe in the semi-final, who were sort of an African powerhouse, always, I think, much fancied. And they've done it with some great goals, and I think, as you mentioned there, it ties in with what's been a fantastic year for Algeria, getting to the knockout stage of the World Cup, giving Germany a bit of a scare, actually, taking them to extra time. Do you remember just Manuel Neuer just hoovering up everything?
Yeah.
I think that's when people kind of really started to realise that he's an unbelievable goalkeeper in terms of the style he plays.
It did actually. It looked for a bit like Algeria might even win that game. And
yeah.
That would have been an incredible thing for Algerian football, but still they came out of that World Cup with massive credit, and weirdly the coach who had been sort of a villain in the country was suddenly a massive hero.
Got out of the group stage. The scenes when they got out of the group was incredible.
Yeah. Even not just Algeria, in Walthamstow as well, where I live in northeast London. Lots of Algerian fans there, where they originally come from. But yeah, a lot of fireworks that night. But no, it's fantastic to be part of that atmosphere. And also, I think on the same day as this Champions League final, so I think we're going back a few days, it was actually the Algerian National Independence Day.
60th anniversary. What a day.
Big party.
What a day for them.
Fantastic time. Well, what do you put it down to? Do you put it down to sort of, there are these French links. Do you think we can give some credit to that, the rise of Algerian football?
The problem is to try and separate Algerian football and the French links is an impossibility. And I suppose, like quite a few of the kind of formerly French colonied African nations, it has gone the other way too, and a lot of potentially fantastic players from other African countries have ended up playing for France. So I remember during the World Cup there was
a little bit of sniffing about the fact some of these players were born in France.
Some people saying these are French players playing for Algeria, but really it depends what you call nationality, and I think that's a really kind of different issue as to whether you can be born somewhere and feel very strongly affiliated to another country. So. I mean, obviously it helps that there is this kind of French influence, but this is very much Algerian. These are Algerian players
achieving something for Algerian football,
and in terms of, I think there's 3 players in that Setif side that came through youth ranks in France. I think at academies at Metz, Toulouse, and Sochaux, I think. But then they've kind of had their education in Europe, and then they've gone to Algeria to play club football, and they're 3 of their most important players now, and obviously it's paid off.
It's great to see it go that way, I think.
Yeah,
rather
definitely.
than it always go one way and people going into France and applying their trade there. It's great to see them coming home
and winning.
And winning.